Hey, family. Um, you know, Listen, we've really got to get into this thing about the unadulterated racism in this administration. I know that there are black Trump supporters, and they all claim that Trump is not racist. Well, if he's not racist, he better tell somebody because the racists they think that he's racist. Okay, and they believe that because he gives them carte blanche to do whatever it is that they want, to say whatever it is that they want. As a matter of fact, he even made it legal for some contractors working with the government to segregate their employees by race if that's what they want to do. You know, that doesn't sound like somebody who's not racist to me. That also sounds like somebody who's going to perpetuate as much racism and chaos as they can. And I think that the best example of that was recently seen at the Pentagon, and it was displayed by this paper tiger, Pete Hegseth. You know, he is, I think, one of the retired generals called him a comic book tough guy, and it made me curious about his background. So I found out that he actually was in the military. He did leave the military as a major, but he was also in National Guard. He was in active duty. He did go active duty because he was deployed to, let's see here. He was a platoon leader with the 101st Airborne Division. He was deployed to Iraq in '05 to '06, and he won a Bronze Star, but not for combat. It wasn't for combat. It was just for doing his regular job in a combat zone. So he got a Bronze Star, but not with the V for valor, just for doing the job. Um, okay, with the V device is awarded for valor in direct combat heroism, and without the V is awarded for meritorious service in a combat zone. So yeah, he did receive two Bronze Stars, um, but there was no real heroism on his part. The second one he was awarded in Afghanistan. But he had to leave the military because he was under scrutiny. And he had been reported by a fellow soldier because the guy saw him as being a liability. And he had to withdraw from a special assignment because of this allegation from one of his fellow soldiers. And he ended up, he left the military. He left the military, and it seems that he's been, since he's been appointed by Donald Trump, it seems that he's been on this rampage. He's going after what he considers to be DEI. And according to him, far too long we've promoted too many uniform leaders for the wrong reasons, based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called first. Well, the problem is this. In the military, those things may be true. You may get something based on your color or based on, other other so-called first or other reasons. But the reality is this: if you can't perform the job, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter who you know. You can get the promotion, but if you keep the promotion, that's going to be up to the soldier, the individual soldier. I don't care who recommended you for it, who you knew that put you, in on the path to that promotion. You've got to be able to perform. And whoever put you on the path to that promotion already knows that you could perform because they're not going to take the chance of damaging their own reputation for you. Nobody's going to do that. not in the military, not in civilian life either. Just wouldn't make sense. I promote you for something, you know, you fall flat on your face. Now, guess what? Both of us are out on the street with nobody to vouch for the other. So his reasoning is just doesn't make sense. So he stopped 2 black men from becoming brigadier generals. And for those that don't know, a brigadier general is 1 star, and 2 women. Now, the 2 women, I don't know whether they were both black, whether they were white, but their race wasn't mentioned. But the 2 people, the 2 men, yeah, they were both black men, and they were stopped from being promoted. As a matter of fact, he got rid of the Army Chief of Staff because the gentleman wouldn't pull these guys' names for promotion because they looked at the years of service and the dedication to the military. And the general's like, no, I'm not going to deny them their promotion just because of the color of their skin. They're qualified. But old Petey's like, no, can't have it. They're black, they're women, that's DEI. So he denied both of them all 4 of these people promotions. Not because they're incompetent, but because, quite frankly, flat out racism. And it's racism that is perpetuated by this administration. That's the bottom line. That's where we're at. Right now you're fighting a war with no senior statisticians in place, with no senior people with experience to call on. Total mistake, this whole war. But Trump is not going to admit that it was a mistake. Nope, he would never do that. He'll keep going on. He'll keep putting our children into meat grinders until he can step back and declare either that it's over, or he'll make up some big lie about how he's accomplished his goals, like he's been doing. He's in negotiation with this person and that person. I saw a cartoon the other day, and it had him sitting in a white hospital gown, and a doctor in front of him, and the doctor asked him, he says, the people that you've been negotiating with in Iran, are they with us now? Yeah. Are they in the room? That's the type of thing that you don't want to have asked of your commander-in-chief. You don't want to see them in that type of cartoon, because it raises the question, who's really in charge? Is it Stephen Miller? I think it might be Stephen Miller. I don't think it's Vance. He's grown pretty quiet lately. But I really wish he would speak up and, bring up these 25th Amendment charges. Get this guy out of office. Do the right thing for once in your life. Do the right thing, Vance. Help us out. All right, fam. Look, I wanted to touch on that because, this thing about not being racist, and then the actions that we're seeing, these actions are most definitely racist, and it's a racist administration. And if you think it's something other than that, stop drinking that stuff or stop smoking that stuff, because this is racism in your face. All right, folks. I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.